place to be, where art, life, and spirituality connects you and me. Science of mind and spirit, the foundation we teach and live. Love, joy, and belonging are the gifts we have to give. Our consciousness, our being, open at the bottom, open at the top. We're not simply one with God, but we are it itself. It will never stop. SIA, our spiritual center, family and home. It's where we come to practice and remember there is only one life, one mind, one infinite, eternal, self-existent. 'Cause we pause, embodying all that we are. We shine like a glorious star. Our consciousness, our being, open at the bottom, open at the top. We're not simply one with God, but we are it itself. It will never stop. SIA, our spiritual center, family and home. It's where we come to practice and remember there is only one. Spirituality is our way of life. We value laughter, truth, and justice. We express artistry as our living practice. So come and join us at SIA. Know you found a community that will love you every day.
Namaste, greetings and blessings, and welcome to the Center for Spiritually Integrated Arts. This is our Sunday message, and I am Reverend Dr. Raymont Anderson, the founder and spiritual director of this center. And I invite you to watch not only this Sunday message, but any of our archived messages. I invite you to join any classes or events that we have going on. I invite you to reach out and email if you have any questions. Questions about this community, questions about me, questions about what we do, or questions about this science of mind and spirit, liberation theology that we practice and teach. And if by chance you find yourself seeking beloved community with other like-minded beings, even if you already belong, are a member of another community, church, or center, you are more than free to have multiple affiliations wherever you are fed and find community. You are invited. And lastly, feel free to click like, subscribe, and share this or any other message or announcements with others in your circle. And with that, much appreciation, love, and blessings. Enjoy the message.
SIA is the place to be. So buckle up, we're making history. And if you are willing, repeat after me. I am love. I am love. it right. One more time. I am love. I am victorious. I am divine. Amen. Yes, you are. Amen. Yes, you are. Now today's message begins.
Namaste and greetings, and welcome back to our conversation this month about divine doubt. Today, we are talking about not simply carrying our own individual doubts, but what does it mean to carry our collective doubts, or to carry our doubts together? What are some of the doubts that we collectively have as our experiences? What are some of the doubts that we share amongst one another as a normal part of our shared collective unconscious? And what might happen if we were more brave and more bold to talk about these doubts, but not simply as the doubt itself, but as the avenue through which our faith, our curiosity, our questioning is given the space to come forth? What could possibly change in our individual lives, our societal experience, our global experience, if we came together and openly talked about our doubts, not from a place of doubting means weak, or doubting, such as doubting Thomas, means you have no faith? It's not necessarily what it means. So rather than go there, what if we come together, share our collective doubts, carry our collective doubts from the place of seeking greater understanding and greater application? Breathe. So we know in our teaching, we often talk about there is only one mind, and that mind is God. Yep. And oftentimes, when I've had conversations with people, they somehow envision the mind as a big brain, which is cool. I mean, if that's how you visualize it, that's fine, but that's not what it is. The brain is a tool. Mind, consciousness, isn't. A brain is a form. God is formless, formlessness. So, I came across an article in Science and Astronomy where they were talking about this idea of how neuroscience has found that all human brains are connected through an extremely low frequency of electromagnetic waves. A portion of this article says, for centuries, philosophers and scientists have speculated about the mysterious connections between human minds. Now, new research in neuroscience suggests that our brains may be linked in a very real, physical way through extremely low frequencies, ELF, electromagnetic waves. Now, I invite you to continue reading the remainder of this segment or go and read the entire article. But if this is accurate and true, then does it not make sense if we say there is only one mind and that mind is God and that mind is your mind now, my mind now? So in the realm of the absolute spirit, all minds are connected, all consciousness connected. So does it not also make sense that in the physical, the relative, the formed, there would also be indication of a similar kind of connection? We are already intimately linked one to another. In many ways, the fact that we can, depending on one's blood type, share blood, donate blood, receive blood, communicate, language, understanding, we are intimately connected in many, many ways. So once again, does it not make sense that neuroscience is beginning to find additional ways that humanity, life, is connected? And once again, when we tie in our understanding that says there is only one mind, then we understand how the collective consciousness impacts the individual and the collective, and how the one mind impacts the individual and the collective. As above, so below. As within, so without. To what degree are we willing to embody this understanding? Because what this says is, on some level of those low magnetic frequencies, you and I are connected to Ted Bundy, Jeffrey Dahmer, Dean Rader, and others, Adolf Hitler. We are intimately connected with everyone. Oneness. So as much as we may attempt to separate ourselves from other folks that we don't like, that magnetic frequency is still a connection. The collective consciousness is still a connection. The one mind is still a connection that cannot be severed. And if we understand that we are all connected, there is only one mind, and that your mind is connected to, and my mind is connected to, then the manner in which we utilize our minds, the frequencies that automatically connect to others, are impacting them as well. You see where I'm going? So we are able to impact the collective consciousness and individual consciousness by how we steward our consciousness. Humanity's self-knowing mind is the instrument which perceives reality and cognizes or realizes truth. All illumination, inspiration, and realization must come through the self-knowing mind in order to manifest in humanity. All illumination, all inspiration, all realization must come through the mind, the consciousness that knows and recognizes in order to manifest in humanity. We cannot create a world that works for all. Well, I cannot be a part of creating a world that works for all if I do not understand, have a self-knowledge of how my mind, not just my brain, but how my mind operates. And not just how it operates, but to operate it. I can know this is a pen. There's ink inside. I can use it to draw or write. It's not drawing or writing right now. Why not? Because I am not utilizing it. The moment I now, I have to, same thing. Just recognizing it is not the same as applying it. So we want a world that works for all? Identify and then apply. That's why part of our new thing within SIA is not only does it stand for spiritually integrated arts, but also study, integrate, apply. How are we applying in order to create and manifest? So there is only one mind. That mind is God. And even at the realm of humanity, all of our brains, minds, consciousness is also connected. So why not share? We're already sharing. So remember a couple of weeks ago, we talked about the consciousness and God are identical. They're one and the same. I feel pressured. I feel pressured. Like it's so much to do. It's no one is asking you to up level or to understand or to apply some great grant. No. Where you are right now, how do you apply your consciousness, your inspiration, your realization to using an ink pen, to going to the store and shopping, greeting your neighbor? It's how are we using it in our regular, everyday activities, which includes how are we applying this when doubt shows up? And not just when it shows up, but are we inviting doubt to show up? If consciousness and God are identical, then doubt cannot be the enemy when doubt is used, applied in a life-affirming manner. Are we willing to have life-affirming doubt? which is simply questioning. So if I were to say, what if what we think we know about Jesus is 99.8% inaccurate? What if there were no miracles literally done? What if they are all metaphorical, allegorical stories? What if? What if? So what changes? What changes if? And same, what if they are literal miracles that can be understood metaphorically, allegorically, metaphysically, but they are also actual miracles, quote unquote, that we could also do if we understood and applied our consciousness in the way that Jesus did? What if? Are we willing to sit with these questions? What if? What if we could have a world that works for all right now as of 6 a.m. tomorrow morning if we do A, B, and C right now? What if? Would we be willing to? What if? What if there is reincarnation? What if there isn't? What if there is? What if? Are we willing to be in that space? Because, once again, I know a lot of people, or maybe not a lot, but I know at least a few people who have actually spoken aloud, the idea of there are certain things that they would rather not know. For them, ignorance is bliss, which means for them, having an element of doubt is too awkward, painful, and uncomfortable. Are we willing to stretch beyond and talk about and share about and discuss? Tracy and I recently started binge watching The Pit. Let me go back a slide because I know you're going to start reading. And The Pit being set in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, my hometown. Many of the hospitals are learning hospitals. And The Pit is about a learning hospital, a trauma center. And when the various interns, residents, etc., are, in the learning whatever's going on with the patient, Dr. Robbie will often, so Dr. Who do I want to pick? Dr. Langdon, what's next? And Dr. Langdon will start saying something. Dr. Santos, what? And then Dr. Santos will start. And sometimes they're on the same page and sometimes they're not. But they are willing to throw out the possibilities, even when that's not right. Because if we do that now, the patient could die. But if we don't do this now, that they are willing to put it out there. And when they hesitate, Dr. Robbie or Dr. Hashimi, somebody usually says something. Like, you have to put it out there. We have to throw all the cards out there to be able to discuss and figure things out. That's how you learn. Are we willing to potentially mess up or be wrong in order to have deeper understanding? And when practiced well and often, this habit of curating collective memory can not only preserve community, but also, in the darkest of moments, resurrect it. Curating collective memory. What does that mean? What does that look like? It's almost, for me right now, it's almost like whenever I mention how the suffragists, the abolitionists, civil rights, gay liberation, etc., all have demonstrated how to come together with a collective vision that changed culture and society. How do I curate the collective memory of what they did, what their legacy is, their method and practice, in order to not only preserve community, democracy, equality, but in the darkest of moments, when there is an administration that wants to do away with, also resurrect the same principles and values. So what does that look like for you? Imagine it like you have the opportunity to enter into a vast library of wisdom keepers and shamans and medicine women, and this vast repository of great wisdom and knowledge. What do you choose to select? And how do you choose to utilize what you have selected in order to transform not only your individual life, but collective? How do you gather and bring the information, and then, how do you gather it and then synthesize, like Dr. Holmes? Dr. Holmes, Taoism, Vedanta, divine science, transcendentalism, and more. And he synthesized, and then religious science came out of it. What are you selecting as your ingredients from your spice cabinet of life to put into whatever it is you are making of life, so that it can be synthesized into a nutritious and delicious meal, a nutritious and delicious way of being? How are you feeding your mind, body, and soul, the divine trinity of your being, mind, body, and soul? How are you feeding it nutritiously? In the subjective mind of a person, we find a law obeying their word, the servant of their spirit, the mental law of their being, the creative factor within them. This is our individual use of that greater subjective mind of the universe, which is the seat of all law and action. Marvelous as this concept may be, it is nonetheless true that a person has at their disposal, in what they call their subjective mind, a power that is limitless. A person's thought may become a person's thought becomes the law of their life through the one great law of all life. There are not two subjective minds. There is but one subjective mind. And what we call our subjective mind is really the use we are making of the one law. Gravity. One law called gravity. When I go skiing and jump That is how I am in this moment making use of the one law called gravity. When you skydive, poof, and poof, parachute plops, and you're floating down, and I'm soaring, but eventually going to come down too. We are subjectively doing our own thing while still operating under one law of gravity. I'm in a rowboat, you're on a jet ski. We are still operating with the law of buoyancy, even though our subjective experiences are whatever they are. Or I'm in the bathtub with rubber ducky, you're the one. You make a bath time lots of fun. Rubber ducky, I'm especially fun. Sorry, had my Sesame Street flashback in that moment. Curating collective memory. Anyhow, a rubber ducky bouncing and floating on top of the water in the bathtub is still the law of buoyancy. But it's my subjective use of the law in this moment while you're on a jet ski or surfing. It's the exact same thing. So how are we tuning in and tapping in creatively? Are you familiar with the story of either of these two gentlemen? One being Atlas, the other being Sisyphus. Each of them tells a story of what it means to have a quote unquote great burden to bear. One carries his, literally. The other one must forever push it up simply for it to roll back down. When we look at the situation with planet Earth, one, are we trying to do it alone? Two, do we look at it? Do we look at it as a burden that we must bear, or a process that we are working to heal? How are we addressing collective trauma, the collective history, collective shame, and collective doubt? Because collective, any one of these, is what drives toxic capitalism. When I believe that money makes the world go round, and I doubt that I can live my life comfortably with X amount of dollars, I don't believe that. Then I'm going to revert back to I need to take advantage of, and I need to become a trillion-billion-zillionaire, which means somebody's going to be oppressed. I am building my wealth off of the sweat, blood, and tears of somebody, simply so that I can have a $5,000 cup of coffee. I don't do champagne. Worth every dollar. So how are we collectively healing? We can't do it if we're not willing to question. We can't do it if we're not willing to engage together. The collective conscience is the totality of beliefs and sentiments that are common to the average citizens of the same society. What would we say if I were to ask? What are some of the beliefs that are relatively common in the United States of America that are not necessarily the same beliefs or values to a Japanese person in Japan, or someone in Australia, or any of the nations in Africa. Various cultures have various beliefs and sentiments and values that are uniquely theirs, which is one reason why when many people travel and they're not familiar with the customs, they find themselves offending. For example, the United States, it is customary to tip when you're at a restaurant or at a hotel and a, busboy or whatever they're called carries your luggage to the hotel room, whatever, bellboy, bellhop, whatever that is. I'm usually the one carrying them, so I don't know what they actually called. Anyhow, it is customary to tip your server, to tip your Uber driver. It's customary to tip. In Japan, that's a no-no. It's considered rude and offensive in Japan to tip. Did you know that? So if you go to Japan and you're not familiar with the customs and you're like, oh, wow, their service was amazing. $5. The Japanese person, oh, no, 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 no. How aware are we in order to now come together? Do we know our own culture, our own collective conscience, beliefs, sentiments, values here in order to come together? Well, yeah, we sort of do, but we sort of don't. Because the moment you start talking about making America great again, and what you're actually doing is dismantling and oppress, then we're operating on a completely different set of beliefs. So how do we heal? Well, one, we have to recognize, ideally, that we're all connected. The more we are able to see through and see past the person's behavior and actions and recognize first, they are an individualized expression of God, as am I. Now, from that awareness, what is mine to do in this conversation or this prayer or whatever the interaction is? But I'm starting from, they are a human being, as am I. I am not speaking to someone who is a Klansman. That is a label that goes on top of, that is based upon a certain behavior, etc. I want to start with human being to human being, divine, divine, God, God. That's where I'm starting. Now, where is the illness, the dis-ease? How do I treat that? What is mine to do regarding that? How do I proceed forward? And not just how do I, but how do we collectively address the virus called racism or any of the others? How do we collectively? Well, it's got to start with understanding what we already are right now and operate from there. I cannot effectively apply any kind of first aid if I cannot acknowledge that I'm a surgeon or I'm a doctor or a nurse, whatever. I cannot. I don't. But no, you've been working at such and such hospital for 25 years. Yeah, but I have to understand and know I have these skills. I know how to apply them. I am willing to apply them and then apply them. Mental suggestion operates through the subjective mind. And a silent influence is always going on through this avenue in the form of what Dr. Holmes called race suggestion, which let's go ahead and swap that out right now. Wrong slide. Come on, swap that out right now. In the form of race suggestion, collective consciousness, collective awareness. A silent communication takes place at all times between all friends on the subjective side of life. Once again, what the neuro is, we connected. We all connected. It's like the mycelial network connecting all things underground, communicating at all times underground. Same thing. When it comes to the surface, it is called, or it is labeled, mental telepathy. What does this have to do with anything? One, Dr. Holmes is inviting us to understand that whether we are verbally speaking or signing or writing, there is an aspect of us that is always communicating, nonetheless. And when it comes to what he's calling mental telepathy, well, what is that? Have you ever, with a friend or family member, you were getting ready to say something and they said the very thing? Because Tracy and I do it far too often. It's almost like we're a married couple. It happens too often where I say what she was getting ready to say, or she say what I get ready to say, or we say the exact same thing at the exact same time. It's starting to get scary. It ain't starting to get, it's been getting scary. But anyhow, that's what Dr. Holmes is referring to. This idea that we're on the same wavelength. We're saying the same thing at the same time about the same thing. How is that? We don't believe in coincidence or happenstance. It's because we are in communication at all times. So, if I were to ask in reference to, one's doubt or whatever that may be, is it a little bit of doubt? Is it a lot of doubt? Is it a big doubt? Is it, to what degree is there doubt regarding whatever the doubt is regarding? That doesn't matter. There is an ancient Zen saying, great doubt equals great awakening. Little doubt, little awakening. No doubt, no awakening. We are invited to have great doubt, which, as I mentioned previously, it simply means asking, being willing to ask and asking more effective questions. That's it. Great doubt comes from great life-affirming faith. Because those who have greater life-affirming faith, doubt doesn't scare them. They understand what it is and how to apply it normally, effectively. Creation is eternally going on. Change is always taking place within that which is changeless. Forms appear and forms disappear in a medium which of itself is formless. The divine, formless, or formlessness itself. From the formless, the formed shows up. Before I can even speak a word, the formlessness of my mind, my thinking, because you can't see it, you can't hold it. Can you? I'm going to picture something. Can you see it? Can you touch it? Can you throw it from hand to hand? Can you get inside of it? Because you don't know what it is. So, no. But then the moment I now say it, you have a mental form of, oh, it's a car. That's what you were thinking. But even that When I say it, you still can't touch it, but I've given the word a form. But the form called word still isn't the thing itself. It's not car, is not a car. The word car is a label that represents car. So from the formlessness itself, form, the formlessness is also changeless. It is what it is. And from the changeless, change occurs. From the absolute to the relative, the subjective. So to what degree are we tuning in and tapping in to the formless and the changeless as it relates to doubt? How are we applying the creative process? From our initial mind or idea, there's the idea. Now, where does the idea go? Because the idea has to go somewhere in order to create a form. Otherwise, the idea stays a thought. And depending on how we tap into the divine principle and how we tap into whatever the thing is that we are, whatever the idea is, we're going to run into all manner of. It is not a straight line from idea to manifestation. Many like to think it is the law of attraction. If you simply change your thinking, it will change your life. No. It's not. If only it were that simple, but it's not. Manifesting is not that simple. I'm a millionaire. I'm a millionaire. Millionaire. You can't just think it and make it happen, right? So there's a variety of things that go through from idea to fruition. And sometimes there are detours. Sometimes an idea runs into, yep, that one's not going to work. Such as I have run into regarding publishing my book. That publisher, no. I need to make a detour. I need to find a new route. I need to I need to slow down. I need to pause for a moment. I need to find a new way around or take a new route to get there. Sometimes we have to go back to not necessarily the very beginning, but we have to rethink it and let me go back. Let me review and revisit and then okay, now. And then there's manifestation. How are we tapping into the formlessness to create form? How are we tapping in and using the creative process and creative principles, using our doubt effectively to create the things that we say we desire to create? How do we recognize that there is only one mind, and it is that mind that then all ideas spring from the formlessness, one mind? Remember what I said before. There's only one mind, and that mind is universal to all of us. Have you ever saw somebody come up with something, some invention or something? You're like, hey, I had that exact same idea last year. I didn't do anything with it, but they did. There's only one mind. How are we using and tapping into that one mind to create? How are we using it, balancing with doubt, asking the questions? Because if I get, okay, hold on, I got to talk to my possible publisher. So how much is it going to cost me? It's more than I wanted to. Okay. Question. Am I willing to? I'll give you a call back. I want to look into something. I'm using questioning. Had an issue. I'm questioning. What do I need to do to find the publisher that I desire to be able to do what I want to do? Doubt. Question. Ask. Seek. It is not only what we do, but it is also what we do not do. We are accountable for both. As Yoda said, do or do not. There is no try. Yoda is saying the same thing that Molière is saying. It is not only what we do, but it is also what we do not do that we are accountable for. This do or do not can simply be phrased as do or do. Do or do. And some of us may be asking, well, what do you mean? What I don't do? Like the television show, What Would You Do? You're witnessing someone, berating a waitress. You're not doing, I'm going to keep eating. I'm going to pretend that that doesn't exist. That is still doing. When we do not intervene or intercede, that is still a doing, and we are still accountable for it. If you see something that is harmful and you do nothing, then you are complicit of the harm. Now, there are times no one is saying you should stand between, that person and the other person, but are you willing to dial 911? Are you willing to yell for help? Are you willing to do something so that this hurt and harm does not continue? What will you do or do? And there are also voices that are unable to exist in the tension of who we are and what we believe, and who they desire us to be and what they desire for our beliefs. This is the life of a human, particularly a human with any concern for belonging or survival. We are dragged with such a force in so many disparate directions that our souls, disoriented, are unable to find their way back to center. And for most of us, the journey back is costly. In spirituality, this leads many of us to profess beliefs that we do not truly believe. Our desire to belong sometimes makes us say things we don't really believe, makes us do things we are not really aligned with. But we go along with the crowd because we desire to belong. We desire to survive. And so we go along. Are we willing to ask the questions? Do I really believe this? And am I willing to do something different? There are many ways that the concept of brainwashing has been portrayed in film and in television over the years. And not just film or television, in actual lived experiences, cults, and the study of them. When we are so disoriented and off center, it is easy for us to become manipulated and brainwashed. But it also happens based upon, which we don't often think of, what do we watch on television or when we go to the movie theater? What kind of books do we read? What do we do on social media? As I said before, how are we feeding our body, mind, and soul? You are what you eat. You are what you consume. What are you consuming via television? How many kids, not just kids, because adults, we do it too, obsessed with video games, on our phones. You know, when Tracy and I used to visit the grandkids, one in particular used to be on video games most of the time when we were there visiting. Like if we're there 4 hours, this one particular grandkid is probably on a video game at least half of that time, rather than, interacting and whatnot. And I'm not saying I'm simply saying, what is that doing to her? When Tracy and I binge watch, what is that doing to our mind, to our consciousness, to our beliefs, to our values? Whatever we're doing on social media. And it's not just these things. Family, school, church, friends are all ways and things that impact and influence us, that either help us to return to center, or there are things that knock us off center. We are consumers who consume in a great many ways. We eat in a great many ways. We eat based on our television, our reading, our social media. We eat, embody, and engage with dedication. What are we dedicated to? What are we embodying? What are we engaging? What are we consistently giving our attention to? And how are we training ourselves to be? All of that matters if we're going to create a world that works for all. To actively embody and engage the science of mind and spirit 4.0 is to practice the art of deprogramming and reprogramming oneself. We deprogram from the ideas, beliefs, behaviors, and default consciousness that we were indoctrinated to take possession of. And we do this, and as we do this, we reprogram ourselves with more and more life-affirming ideas, thoughts, beliefs, habits, etc. We are possessed with collective doubt that is non-life affirming because we were brainwashed. We are now invited into a space of collective communal healing, where we help one another, hold space with one another, and have one another's backs during the arduous process of collective transformation. Breathe. This week's affirmation, our declaration, I'll say it first. If it resonates with you, I invite you to say it with me the second time. I share the power and potential of collective curiosity and the exploration of the question. Together, I share the power and potential of collective curiosity and the exploration of the question. And so it is. This week's Thursday night study group questions are your own personal journal questions. Number 1. What are some ways I have been programmed over the years? Number 2. How has this programming helped, hurt, or hindered me? Number 3. What are some collective consciousness beliefs and ideas that were at one time dominant in culture and society, but are no longer dominant today? What changed to make them less dominant or dormant or defunct? Number 4. What are some that are dominant today? Number 5. How does the collective doubt impact my creation process? Number 6. What is my diet? And how does what I consume impact my life and the world? And no, this isn't specifically about food diet and consuming. It's about everything, our television diet, how we consume whatever's going on with our smartphones, etc. It's all of it. In addition to that, we are invited to also practice by having a conversation with someone about how you curate your consciousness. What does that mean? What does that look like for you? And so we breathe and we enter into the space that we refer to as prayer. And in this space, we pray from the space of it's already. The amen is already right here, right now. It's done. A world that works for all, right here, right now. It is done in the absolute. And as we recognize that and embody that, then of course, we live, move, and have our beingness in a way where that divine idea that already exists, fully formed and fully functioning in the one mind, now ripples into the subjective and the relative experience of time and space. It moves from the formlessness into the formed. But it can only happen as each one of us are grounded and centered and have a knowing, not only that it's possible, but knowing our role in its creation. And so we breathe, knowing that there are questions to be asked. And even when there are answers, there are still questions to be asked, even of the answers. And so we continue to study and integrate and apply, moment by moment, breath by breath, day by day. The infinite law, doing what it always does, receives the word, the energy, the thoughts, the activity, and from that it moves. It does what it does, receives the seed, nurtures, and gives the harvest. So that means this word, this message is already moving through all aspects of the one life in order to demonstrate accordingly. And so I stand back and marvel at the magnificent way that it does so, the magnificent way that I contribute to, the magnificent way that we contribute to reaping the harvest of a world that works for all by asking questions, by seeking clarity of ourselves and one another, by being willing to agitate, to shake the dirt off of, and to arise with a new consciousness that comes from being open at the top and open at the bottom, to live our lives as our amen. And so I breathe, knowing it is already done, already here, already manifesting. And so it is. And so it is. Blessings as always. Have an amazing week, and I will see you soon.
Today's message is complete, something to believe, seed of truth that we can practice if we choose to receive. As we take the science of mind and spirit for corridor to every corner of the world where the healing needs to go. We know it's not a secret, can't block behind a door. It's the wisdom that we're living, and love is what we share it for. Now step into the world, be a healing, hopeful beacon. You're walking the path and offering to all who may be seeking. Know it. Dedication to liberation is the key we hold. A story of freedom that's waiting to be told. Right where you are is holy ground. Feel into your rhythm and the sacred sound. You're an incarnation of the divine. You're holy, powerful, and good. And you are called to be that in the world and do what only you could. Know it, practice it, live it every day. That's how we heal the consciousness. We wash the ignorance away. Time to heal the world and make the vision come true. No more waiting for someone else to do what we can do. With gratitude, love, and a joy so deep, we have principles, practices, and promises we're all gonna keep. Be the change that you want to see. Unlock the chains and set all life free. From the heart of the city to the jungles and open plains, breaking the cycles of oppression and its heavy chains. It's a revolution of the body, the mind, and the soul. Mending, making, and manifesting the broken parts now finally whole. Know it, practice it, live it every day. That's how we heal the consciousness. We wash the ignorance away. Time to heal the world and make the vision come true. No more waiting for someone else to do what we can do. With gratitude, love, and a joy so deep, we have principles, practices, and promises we're all gonna keep. Right where you are sacred. Right where you are, shining so bright. Right where you are, the divine is expressing. Right where you are, life. So live it every day. Make the vision now come sing. In divine is not far off watching. It is incarnating itself as you. Have an amazing week and know that you are loved.